COVID-19 changed a lot for this project. Immediately, we had to make some decisions about how we were going to approach it. We wanted to be safe. That was really important to us. And so we decided that it was just going to be me, Noah, and Jack, and no one else was going to be on set. There's going to be a 3-person crew and a 3-person cast. And we did it.
I was nervous about leading a large team in an efficient way. And that didn't have to happen, so that was good.
Well, we couldn't hire a crew. That was, I think, the biggest thing. You know, it really shrunk our crew and shrunk our capabilities of what we could do. But I love that it didn't stop us. It put us on a hiatus, but that allowed me to finish psychology.
It's been a fun time. I've enjoyed working with these people.
Why'd you call them these people?
I don't want to say dwarves.
Whoa, dwarvish person, Bartham.
I remember the very first draft of the final episode was very different from the actual product. We had to change things for the episode. It affected the production and things like that. But I think it's hard to imagine what this would look like without COVID. Because I guess I could think of having more time. Maybe there'd be maybe it would be better. But I'm just really, like I said, I'm really satisfied. And maybe I'm biased as someone who got to work on it and knows the people who made it. But, I love creation and creativity. I think it's awesome to make things, whatever it may be. To me, it's so cool to have this hour and a half, TV show. Basically, and I think it's awesome that you always will have that.
We had gotten a lot of locations together, and then COVID, we kind of had to reorganize our thought process behind everything, and I think some of the only location shots were the arcade and the quarry.
Look, how many more times do you need to bounce that thing before we can go?
It's progress.
Progress.
And Noah's house.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So it was very, very limited in what we could do, and I think using what we had, it was a great job. I think it was ambitious for us both to kind of go in, or all three of us to go in with a green screen mentality. When now looking back on it, I'm like, I know how to light that so much better. Or, I know how to prepare to shoot this green screen thing. Which is cool. It's that shows progress. That shows that we can do better next time.
After you hear every other character say we're gonna die,
yeah,
there's a moment where we can go, oh shit, Motors is gonna die too. So
right,
give us that moment at the oh my, let him be a good actor.
Let me ask you, why is he calling?
Why? Because he's just trying to make it a little bit better for him.
Okay.
He's trying to ease their passing.
He's the melty butter. Right?
He's the melty butter.
But he thinks he's the best guy ever. He thinks he is super thoughtful and General of the Year. This guy. Huh? Me?
What do you think, huh?
Faster and more intense.
All right, yeah. No, I'm on a call right now. No, I'm not gonna die. I'm in the house with you.
I think it became a matter of when are we gonna do it, not how. At least first, because I like that none of us got hit with COVID and kind of went, oh, this isn't gonna happen. It just became, will we do it next summer? Is this gonna be over by June? How is this working? I think for everything, and Star Wars was only a small part of this, everything at that point was just what's going on, what isn't, where in the world are we with this?
It breeds the question, though, because COVID created limitations. So you can't help but think, well, when, as a creative person, do you accept your limitations and compromise, or when do you strive to look past them and try to be a perfectionist? And it's a tough question, and I'm not sure that there's always a right answer. But I think it's important to ask, if you don't compromise, how much harder are you making the project? Sometimes it's worth making a project a little bit harder for yourself, but I always think it's more worth it to finish a project and to be able to make a project be doable. In that sense, compromise is really important for creative people. To be able to push yourself as far as you can go without making the project uncompletable.
I think it's one of those things where you have to remind yourself, what is at the core of this show? What are the core ideas that you're working with? And if it's a personal preference choice, then that probably isn't the way. Yeah, that's not one to fight on. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I think it's funnier if this happens. I think it's funnier if this happens. It's personal preference. We'll figure one out. But I think when it comes down to like, oh, I feel like this is veering away from what I believe this show to be, you have to kind of refer to, well, what was this originally? You kind of have to go back to what you had planned before and I guess kind of just reevaluate it from that blueprint that you had set.
I mean, COVID created a lot of limitations, especially with the schedule. Production is on schedule.
This isn't in the budget.
And as a cinematographer, I was actually kind of frustrated afterwards because I felt like, man, I wasn't able to get the best shots that I wanted. This doesn't look as good as I hoped it would. But it got done. So, that's something that really assured me ultimately was that, I think if I had really tried to get the best looking shots possible, it would have taken too much time. The project would never have been completable. But because I was willing to compromise and say, okay, the footage will be as good as it needs to be. We may not get that many takes. We may not always get the best angles. Our lighting might be okay at best sometimes. But it got done. And that's what it took to get it done, was just saying, this is good enough to move forward. And now we have a mini-series to watch because of that.
To me, what's impressive about this project is its completion, that it got done with just the three of us at this stage. That, to me, is what is, the biggest victory. So I think it's pretty clear that all of our collaborations resulted in that.
Episodes that featured guest characters now had to either all be Jack or be me and Noah. And that changed the way that we wrote. It forced us to rewrite things, forced us to reconsider certain characters, and it changed some episodes fairly dramatically. Yeah, and there's still some things that, like, I can't help but think about, like, well, if COVID hadn't happened, would we have been able to do an episode a certain way? And ultimately it's been long enough that, like, I don't necessarily miss, the previous drafts. I think there's some episodes that even got better because COVID forced us to put extra thought into them. And like I said, safety was really important. We limited contact, we limited locations. We hardly went beyond a green screen. We were going to do a lot of green screen filming anyway, but now there were things that, like, we were kind of iffy on whether we were going to go out to a location, and now we were sure that, okay, this location's green screen. And that's something that COVID definitely impacted. Well, are we doing this safe? You know what? We're avoiding a lot by having such a small crew and such a small cast. And that's something that I think the way we approached it was as safe as we could. The hardest part, though, is just because of COVID, because of these delays, we ended up with not a lot of time to shoot. We ultimately had a feature-length project that we shot across 15 filming days over the span of about a month.
All right.
Fellas,
Good work today.
y'all been
Good day.
troopers.
We have been. It's been I think this was the hardest week. Just
Yeah.
low light. It's
Small space.
small space, a lot of setup. That's the thing. If we didn't have to have a green screen and lights everywhere.
Shitty catering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, those were hard-ass days. But I think, I personally, like, that's part of why I think this got done, is because it was so organized, and because it was so, we're going to get this far in this episode, and we're going to really, you know what I mean? I think that schedule and that rigor is what got this done the way it got done, because, we waited so long because of COVID to start filming. We waited so long into the summer that by the time we felt comfortable, it was now, but we got to get it done. And we are almost to the point where we can be done with everything by the end of July, except for Far Wars. So I'm saying tomorrow, let's do the Dr. Phil office stuff. Let's do, like, as much of the Dr. Phil stuff as we can,
Okay.
even the interrogation room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the interrogation happening?
Probably in my basement.
Okay.
So it'd be Dr. Phil interrogation, Dr. Phil balcony, pretty much all of Dr. Phil's scenes done tomorrow,
Yeah.
and the scene that we need for Quigtricity.
Yes.
Yes. So
That's all doable.
So let's do all that tomorrow. Don't do feet talking time, because you're gonna do a line later where it's 3:00, time to go abuse the mentally ill. So make it instead just, I think I need to go talk to the feet. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
had a long.
I think I need to go talk to the feet.
Yeah.
You best be sure that Phil's gonna get his way.
physically assaulting Dr. Phil in our... Here's the scene where we assault a living person. We kill Dr. Seuss.
Try new Dr. Phil's granola bar, complete with wrapper. Try Dr. Phil's new granola bars.
Phil-nola bar.
Taste thin. Make it happen.
We just need to make it happen. All we need is make it happen. He doesn't even have to do... I think he's got the whole scene down. We just need the last line.
You had it, and then you broke.
It
was so funny.
It's the last line.
Try new Dr. Phil Nola bars. Try them today. Try Dr. Phil Nola bars today. They taste thin. Make it happen.
That's good. Good work.
I remember the first day of filming Motors, we did all of it in one day. And just the fact that we had such an organized shot list was something I'd never done before. I had such a bad habit of doing such impromptu film shoots. We were all kind of cooks in the kitchen, so we would do a take, and it was an interesting place to be. And, you know, one of the things as actors you're told is, like, don't direct other actors. But then when we are also directors and all collaborating on this project, like, it put us all in difficult positions wearing different hats. So I think overall, I think it lends itself to a flavor of, you know, this collaborative creative process, which this entire thing was, both in success and in struggle. That is what it was. And I think there's so much to learn from that. Each of us were looking at the shot through a different lens. And each of those lenses were also not the one that the camera saw either. Like, the camera's just getting what it's getting. But we're all looking for something, and it's all different. So I feel like when we would do a take, Noah would look at it through a writer's lens. Also an actor's lens, also directorial lens, but, like, that's where he really shined as a director. Then I feel like your strength was through the, you know, seeing how are we going to make this work technically? How are we going to make this all together? You know, through a technical lens. And that was your gift that you brought to the project. And then, you know, so we're looking at it through that lens, and then also the subtext of the writing. And then, you know, I feel like I had some of the more acting background. So then I'm looking at, like, how are these relationships going? And it was just cool. It was cool to see what each person liked and disliked of each take. And it was always we always had something to say, which was great. It's because I think we always, you know, the common denominator between all of our visions was that we wanted to make it the best we physically could.
I think yours was efficiency. I think when you were in the director chair, how quickly can we get this scene done, move on, get to the next thing, go, we gotta go. Time is money. I think Jack is very actor-centric. I think he knows how he wants to be communicated to as an actor, and so he has a good understanding of how to talk to someone who is acting. And mine might be the most abstract. Mine might be a little me throwing... I felt like I was throwing silly putty against the wall and seeing what stuck. That's what I love about being creative, is not knowing what you're doing, but I was definitely... I did not know what I was doing when I was directing, and so I feel like I kind of flip back and forth between super harsh, really take your lumps, and super sweet and just, okay, well, let's get in this direction, and we're gonna, you know, work together. Like, I think, and I'd like to lean towards the latter.
Despite the fact that we were really pushing ourselves, it's the hardest I've ever worked for a passion project. But we were making something together as friends, something really creative, something really ambitious. And that's something that I was really proud of, and I had a lot of fun. You know, it was ultimately a bright spot kind of in a dark time. COVID created a lot of uncertainties, but it was really nice to be able to do this really ambitious, really creative project with my friends.
The tragedies of COVID-19 aside, I think it was really cool happenstance that all three of us were able to come back to the city when we were all fairly busy and take the time to film in, 3 blocks down from where I went to elementary school. Like, that's cool. And there was a lot of freedom involved, having the apartment to film in, having, whatever, all different equipment. Like, I'm really proud that we were able to actually get it going. And not only get it going, but get it going safely.
Yeah.
So impressive. I mean, you're talking to, 3 young guys able to film and produce a mini-series during a pandemic. And that's pretty cool. During a pandemic. It's good on us. There's one for you, there's one for Noah, there's one for everybody involved. Like, pats on the back all around. Because we did it and nobody got sick from that.
I think it just gave the show a new voice, if anything. Yeah, I think it was I think you can very clearly see it in the aesthetic of the show. There's a different kind of funny when it's, just a minor thing, like all 3 people playing every character, or, I think it just gave it a little bit more of a lo-fi feel, which, I like about it. I like about the show's identity. I think it would have felt much larger scale had we had all of the people in it that we wanted.
Obviously, it's not a professional film shoot, but I don't think that's what we needed at the time.
Yeah.
It was, if anything else, it was just fun to have fun. And then remember, oh wait, we're trying to do something here.